Hello, my name is Renee L. Rose. I'm the founder of Explore Art Talk. With Explore Art, our featured guests, we have meaningful conversations celebrating artistic and cultural diversity that makes our world extraordinary. So sit back, relax, and check out our content. Thank you for joining us today. Aiden?
Hi, you hear me?
Yes, I hear you and I see you.
Great, great. How you doing?
I'm fine. How are you doing?
Good, absolutely good.
That is so good.
Yeah, yeah. I
So
I just have an earpiece. I thought in case I'm not clear enough.
you're very clear. I hear you very, very clear. So Aiden, why
Yeah,
don't you start off by telling me how your journey got you into being an artist?
yeah. It's always a question where they ask like, is an artist born or are they mad? That's kind of the question. Uh,
Yeah.
so so with me it was like um actually growing up way back in elementary, I realized, when we had classroom tasks to draw and, color around that I did very well. So much such that the kid next to me who would ask me, "Can you draw a horse for me?" In class, and I would help them do that. So it became clear for me at that age, maybe 7, 8, that I had kind of an inclination to better illustrations than the rest of the class. So as I grew up, I think when I was like in fifth grade, I actually realized, wow, I'm really not bad at drawing. Let me just run with it. And it so happened that I had very supportive teachers who would say, all right, let's have an art club. And they would just give us tools. I remember we would have these like parent day events where the parents would come in class and the teacher would ask me, create a nice picture for the parents, and I would just illustrate on the blackboard or something like that. So it went on and on and on. I think by the end of elementary, it was very it was very developed because now I was using like watercolor paints and on.
Oh,
When I
wow.
went, yes, exactly. So when I went to high school, I took it very seriously. Then I, started really having more serious art class, and the teachers were more specialized, and they would give us a brief history of art, and would really, play around with different tools like charcoal, chalk,
Wow. In
ink
high school? Wow.
in
That's
high school.
where did you
Actually,
go to high school?
I because I grew up in Zimbabwe.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Awesome.
So in junior high school and senior high school, the um art teachers were just art teachers. They didn't do anything else. So it was and we had a very nice art class, which was partially like a workshop with all the tools, all the drawing boards, paints and everything.
Wow.
So I actually started also getting introduced to using oil paints. And and my passion then was more like landscape and portraits. I really enjoyed. I remember sometimes I would just like paint until morning,
Oh,
you
wow.
know,
Yeah, you can get
you
with
know.
yourself.
But of course there were challenges. Like at home, my parents would be going like, "You should be reading instead of drawing." You can't just be drawing all the time, you
Yes.
know. So there were those other, kind of challenges in how to balance things. But um, actually, I'm just narrating the whole story, am I?
Oh, that's
So,
okay. This is
so
good.
as it went on, I think the challenge became those expectations of what to do with the art talent versus how to pursue a career that can make you that can pay the bills, you know. So
Yeah.
I think that time, um, the environment was not so conducive for really pursuing a career in art. So I ended up branching in other directions and, you know, finding different careers. And eventually I ended up in an engineering, design and this kind of thing. So I've actually um, pursued that career in parallel to my art interests. I've always
Yeah.
continuously,
So when you went to
uh,
college, you majored in engineering?
when I went to college, I did little bit of graphic design.
Oh, okay.
Then I did urban planning, which was
Yeah.
more on the architecture design side, So up until now, I still work in the engineering field and design and all that. But on the other side, I've continuously pursued my artistic endeavors.
Yeah.
So, yep. So I've had that double life, so to say.
Well, most artists, a lot of artists do that. It's,
Yeah.
you know, if they're not selling a lot of art right away,
Hmm.
especially when you're emerging artist anyway. But a lot of artists have two different careers, and the other career supports their art.
Yes,
So
yes,
definitely,
yes.
you know,
Because it's just in you, you cannot live it, and you are not even motivated to do it for commercial reason. You're just doing it because that's part of you.
yeah,
So yeah, so
yeah,
that has been my path.
yes.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
so have you had any like exhibitions or something like that?
Yes, I've had exhibitions sporadically here and there, not consistently. So oh, I've had a few exhibitions in Brooklyn. Oh, I'm living in New York, by the way, right?
Yeah.
So in Brooklyn, one time a friend actually invited me because they were doing an exhibition which was very focused on kids' drawings and stories. But I came and helped out and also exhibited my work.
Oh,
And I've participated in a group exhibition also in Brooklyn. And over the past 2 years, I had a major exhibition in a gallery called Soko in North Carolina.
okay.
Uh, yeah, that was kind of big, and I had three of my pieces on that exhibit. But after that, an institution in North Carolina actually acquired one of my pieces into their permanent collection.
That's
Um,
great.
yes,
What
and
type of piece was it?
the Harvey B. Do you know the Harvey B Institute?
Uh-huh.
It's historically focuses on Black artists and the African American heritage.
So
So yeah, but
what piece did you do? Was it a painting or was it?
yeah, it was a painting.
Oh,
It
okay.
was a painting, actually a
Okay.
large painting, I think maybe 5 by 6 feet.
Wow.
Yes, yes,
Really,
yes. It's actually
that's really
huge.
not.
It's interesting because I actually enjoy large scale
Yes.
um paintings.
Yes.
So yeah, that one became a part of their collection. So right now they have it there, an exhibition where they also highlighted those major works. So, but lately I've been working on concepts that combine the abstraction as well as elements from the my second career. So I've taken elements from the architectural field and incorporated them into my art style and combine them and try to see how that works out. But it has proved to be something very interesting in
Mm.
capturing space and basically expressing space in artistic form and all that.
Let's backtrack a little bit.
Yeah.
You said you started off painting portraits and landscapes.
Yes.
Tell me your journey from there all the way to the architect part.
Yeah. So, um, most of the my early work were paintings, uh, landscapes and portraits. And it's interesting that I did a lot of portraits where people, families around, neighbors would actually make requests like, oh, can you
Wow.
make a family portrait? Then I would take their photograph and convert that into a painting. And that was very interesting. Then as time went on, I started experimenting on abstract art,
Mm.
but it didn't really capture my attention too much. Um, I think I was just really, in a sense, trying to find a voice because
Yeah,
abstraction is kind of tricky. You really have to like how do you maintain character in abstraction? That's the challenge,
okay.
because many times abstraction, in a sense, not many times, actually, abstraction doesn't have full representation of reality. It's almost like a,
Not
a
supposed to
take.
be reality though.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
That's the thing.
right.
So when my first attempts were with that, um, didn't really impress me. Then I played around with it, and I went um to play around with graphic arts where I would do like some drawings and incorporate them with some computer work, and that didn't really still that didn't satisfy me. However, I think almost 5 years ago, there was almost like an accidental incident where I accidentally spilled coffee on the table, and the way the coffee appeared on paper was so dramatic, the flow. Then I realized, how this is interesting. This is something I can actually play around with. And I also realized that I was using a lot of coffee, just drinking coffee, and the residue was like a paint tint. So I started using that as a medium on canvas. And I
You
would
ever
just,
study any well-known abstract artists or look at other or kind of, research abstract art? There's some really great abstract artists that have found their voice, you know,
in
abstract, yeah.
in abstraction, that's true. And I was actually also just looking at characters like those people who have really been doing like splashes,
Oh
really,
yeah,
yeah, that kind of thing. Because I thought
yeah. Like
that
Pollock, yeah.
exactly like Pollock. Um, so I tried that, and I found I actually did have a lot of paintings that I've produced with that, and I started mixing the coffee tints with paint because
Oh
at first
wow.
I
What
would
type
just
of paint
use
did you mix it with? Acrylic or oil?
acrylic.
Okay,
Acrylic, yeah,
okay,
yeah. That's the thing. I actually haven't used a lot of oil recently.
okay,
So
okay.
when I first started using the coffee residue, it was mainly like dark brown,
Mm.
and the way it flowed, it almost appeared like Chinese paintings, like those old
Oh,
Chinese paintings
yeah,
where you
yeah.
see the paint and ink flowing. They use a lot of ink. It had that kind of feel, that kind of texture. So I decided to add lots of color and
Hmm.
mix it, and it would appear, something very fast. And what I noticed with it is it was almost like landscape abstraction many times on plan level. When I
Oh,
laid out the paint,
yeah.
it would almost automatically create forms that resemble looking at landscape from the top you
Okay.
know so I
Okay.
was you know started developing that,
Interesting.
and yeah, yeah. So I
Really
still do
interesting.
that, but I find that the process itself very interesting, you know, and it was also giving me a sense that you can actually use daily things we discard as tools and instruments for your art. Just
Also, seems like you were developing your own style doing this.
exactly, exactly. So
Yeah,
that style has evolved into something on its own, and I can say I've not seen anybody else who has done that. So that's
yeah,
something that just
yeah,
really evolved organically, you know.
yeah.
So that's still something I'm working on and pursuing and developing. But in the past year, I've started playing around with that abstraction in incorporating the built environment structures and seeing how that works. And I've even experimented with trying to see how computer generated art works, and even today with AI. But it's AI is a little bit tricky because um, there comes a question like if you produce something and incorporate AI, is it still art?
A lot of
Or
people are doing it. I consider it art
you know
because
how
people
far how
think
far can you push the envelope?
it's true,
you
but
know
people don't know when you play with the digital AI art. Because I've interviewed a lot of artists. I even
Mhm.
have one artist who's an architect, a famous architect, and he does architect with AI. It's just, it's phenomenal.
Amazing, it's
But my
amazing, yeah.
it's not as easy as people think it is. You
No,
can't
it's not,
tell the
it's not,
computer,
it's
oh, this
not.
is what I want, and it does it. It
Yeah,
takes
just put a trop
hours.
prompt. No,
So because the fact that it takes hours, that's creation.
that's
I
creation,
think
that's
that's going
true,
to change.
that's true,
I
that's
think
true,
that's
because yeah,
what I'm
you
saying.
can not anybody can do it, so
No, and you
you know
can't just, they're thinking, oh, you just go to
tell
just
it what to
to
do
the AI, do this.
and sit and let.
Doesn't
Nah,
work like
it doesn't work like
digital
that.
art. You
So
actually
that's
have
true.
to know what you're doing.
What
You
to
have to have some
doing.
artistic skills.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
yes. And the other thing that I've noticed that is also interesting is if you actually import your work into the AI program
Oh,
and use that as reference, because there is this complaint that, oh, sometimes it takes from other people. You can actually use your own work
yeah, you
and
can.
then play
You
around with it, tell
can.
it how changes, just something you can do with written text, right? That you can write your text and then ask it to edit or to change,
Yeah.
specific things. Yeah, same thing. Yeah.
Or you can play with your own photographs
Yes,
and
exactly.
enhance them. So that's what people, I think the ignorance about AI, because there's still a lot of ignorance about it.
Yeah, still
I
beginning.
think that's why and digital stuff, that's why people don't know. But people who use AI, who use graphic design,
Hmm.
all of this, understand it differently of
Yeah,
how
exactly.
complicated
The
it is.
process. Yeah,
Exactly, because I do use graphic arts to do my
Okay.
magazine doing Adobe. It's not simple. I love it.
Absolutely.
I could
It's
be on
not,
it all
it's
day.
not easy.
But
It's not
people think,
easy.
oh, anybody can do
That's
it.
simple. It's
No,
digital.
that's
You
not
just
true.
sit there. No, no.
And
And,
that's
exactly. That's why people use this phrase like, oh, yeah, it's just Photoshop.
no,
Photoshop.
it's
How long does it
difficult.
take? It's difficult.
Photoshop is extremely difficult. They don't
Extremely.
know that, like, to make movies nowadays and all the
Um,
stuff they do
uh,
with the backgrounds, those green screens. The people I interviewed
um,
a guy
um,
3 or 4 years ago that's done that from painting all the way to moving to the way they do it now. He does backgrounds for the movie industry. It blows my mind. But people don't
hmm,
understand how complex and how talented you have to be to do that. You can't just jump and
absolutely.
do that. Even
No,
for Adobe, you can do basic stuff, but you've got to
but
be talented.
no, complex stuff is difficult.
Exactly.
And
I'm so
Adobe is
glad
not
you
easy.
guys are putting it out there, all the digital stuff, put it out there to the world to let people see. Because when you look on Instagram, God, it's some phenomenal digital.
No, me no. Hmm.
And I think eventually they'll be more and more accepted into the art world.
Yes, yes.
Um,
And because people
because there's
realize
so
that they're
many of them.
tools.
Yeah.
And
That's
they're
why,
not easy.
yeah, and that's why I cover it because it's another whole level of talent.
Absolutely. It is. It is. And it's interesting, especially with um all the technology that's coming up, it's
Oh,
also
yeah.
bringing the different areas together, like you mentioned, right? You can take visual arts and then combine it with motion picture and
Yes, yes,
sound. It's no longer the
yes,
isolations, the limitations are
yes.
breaking up, you
And
know?
all the animated, like when they first
Yes,
started bringing video into fine arts and the whole mixed medium of that, and all the animation and all the stuff that you're able to create from raw things, oh, it's just,
amazing.
I can't wait. I can't wait. Actually, I know what you're talking about because I'm an oil painter too. So anything artistic I do, I lose myself. I can spend
Yes, you
hours
really
doing
disappear into it. So what
exactly.
let me switch. I'm now doing the interview. What type of, it's now my show. What
Oh my God.
that's funny. What
So
so you've background in painting?
I'm
Yeah,
an oil painter. Yes, I
okay,
haven't
okay.
painted in a while. I've got to get back to it, but yeah, I've been painting since high school. I love the
Wow.
arts. I do landscapes,
Yeah.
angels. I do a lot.
Angels?
I love angels.
That's interesting. Did you ever see one? Oh,
No,
it's
I wish. Wait, they need some angels now. But to me, the thing I like about an artist, I think an artist has courage because you take something that's coming from within you and display it to the world. It's like you're naked to the world. You don't have
yes,
a problem with,
exposing.
you have courage to be able to do that.
Exposing. Yes, that's
Everybody
true.
can't do that. And and also artist is everything's unique because every artist has a
Hmm.
different way.
Language.
Right, it's a language,
It's
and
a
it can
language,
be
yeah.
anybody around the world. People have different interpretations of it, maybe, but it's a language that everybody can understand.
Stand, yeah.
I love
That's
it.
true. That's
I
true.
love it.
It's beautiful. It's
It
beautiful.
is.
It is. Yeah. And
So
actually, the other thing that's interesting is, especially for us people of color, we know that it's been very challenging to break through markets.
yes,
But you know, how generally it was more difficult for a person of color or a
and
female
it
to
still is
really
not.
enter the
Yeah,
mainstream,
that's true.
you know. But
And I
lately
agree with
we
you.
see
I
we
agree
see
with you.
changes, you know. If even in the I'm if you just take a look at the most popular visual artists in the US, you see that a significant amount of them are of color and
Yes,
female.
yes,
So change
yes.
is actually happening. So
But
that's a
when
positive
you
thing,
think
yeah.
about it, I tell people that's why I do the magazine. If you look at majority of the people in the world, most people have never been to a gallery. Most people have never been inside a museum because a lot of countries don't have that. In rural areas, you don't have that.
Access,
In a lot of
yeah.
countries, you don't have that. But they do create art. They have a
They
lot
do.
of artists.
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
So a lot of art, these big art galleries and all these big art shows are created from mostly European images. And they have not
Yes.
incorporated and actually they did go to other countries and steal those
And
concepts.
take care, of course.
Exactly. But to me, I want people to know that art is from everywhere.
It's
It's the
everywhere.
history of people and how
Mm.
people do this is different. And what their conception of art is, you really don't know. You need to expand the world and see. People live in a bubble, a limited
Bubble
bubble.
box.
And that's why I do that. I interview artists from all around the world and
Mm.
find art from all around the world. It's just
Which is
fascinating.
beautiful, because what you're saying is we don't have to define it in the box
Exactly.
that they are defining it.
Exactly.
Who
And how
said
could you
that's
do that?
how could,
Exactly.
yeah, this you
How could
somebody
you
just
do that
decided.
when the universe creates everybody uniquely? That right
Yeah.
there is a work of art.
Hmm. Hmm.
The
Hmm.
landscape is a work of art. And
Absolutely.
the reason why I like landscapes is because, people think about things being perfect, but when you look at,
Landscape,
nature, it's not
yeah,
perfect.
it's not.
The beauty of perfect,
It's
not
not.
being
It's just
perfect,
what it
right?
is. It
Right.
is what it is.
Exactly. It is what it
Exactly.
is.
You know?
Exactly.
Yeah, and landscape is fascinating. I actually remember some of my favorite landscapes was capturing trees
Oh, yes,
interlocked with hills.
yes,
That interaction between
oh,
the mountain, the
yes,
and tree is it's a fast even when you look at just the rock, the coloration, the
yes,
oxidation
yes,
and that's just when you
yes.
can capture
The,
that,
the,
it's
the colors.
the color is amazing.
Because you're an engineer, the geometry, a lot of the
Geometry,
shapes and geometry
geometry.
the engineers
Yes,
have taken has been from nature. The fact that nature can do that
do
is
that. It's
it's phenomenal.
fascinating. It's
So
phenomenal.
what I
Yeah.
try to do is open up people's minds because I'm left and
To
right brain like
appreciate.
you are.
Of
I
course.
majored in
Of
biology,
course.
natural sciences, and did a whole lot of other things.
Yeah.
I think it makes people help be more compassionate, more loving, more
Understand.
in
Yeah.
understanding
Understand
exactly.
others. Yeah. Which is what's needed because beyond just the visual is like how are we actually changing people up? Does it
Exactly.
touch somebody's heart?
Exactly.
How do we make ourselves better people? At the end of the day, that's really what matters, right?
Exactly.
You
And
know?
you put your art out there and you never know. It's like a safe space where people can approach things or it can resonate with them and bring out something that they're not able to talk about or something that
Exactly.
they haven't expressed. That's what I love about art. It taps
Healing.
that frequency and healing,
Healing,
healing
yes.
and a safe
Healing.
space for people.
Speaking of which, um I'm still to see full expression, right? And the usage of visual art and that expression in places like hospitals and
Yes,
schools. Schools, they really
yes,
need that.
yes,
Schools, they
yes,
really need that. I can imagine
yes,
how much it would change the atmosphere
yes.
if you
When I was
incorporate it.
younger, there was
Yeah,
a lot of art and culture in school, but that kind of, because budgets got tight, they kind of
yeah.
took that away, but it needs to be brought back
Back,
everywhere
yeah,
in the world because it
yeah.
makes a difference. Like we talk about peace and love and have people
Yes.
understanding. So
That's true.
before we end our conversation, I want to ask you, where do you see yourself going with your art, let's say in the next year?
Um, I'm looking for a way um to um I don't want to use the word package, but a way to convey
That's
it
the right
in
word.
such a way that's more relatable. Because sometimes
Okay.
when especially like when you're asking me my process or everything, it can get very mental and it can get very lost out there. Even just like as you have talked to many artists, right? You realize that especially those with artistic backgrounds, they use a lot of
Jargon.
terminology and lose
Yeah,
people. So
yeah.
how do we simplify all this in a way that the common person, like you're saying,
Can
why
get
do
the
we
message.
take this away from the people?
Yes,
So my
yes,
ambition is to express myself in such a way that the average person can relate and be moved by it and bring more healing.
mhm,
Just like what
yes,
happens when we dance, right? It's healing, it's accessible. Anybody can do it. It's
yes,
not something very for the elite. It's not for the
yes,
elite. It's accessible. So
yes.
how do we bring this visual expression to the people, to the neighborhood? Like I live in a neighborhood, there are people. How can I bring that to the neighbors rather than looking for institutions that are very far away? How can I express that to the high school, to the college next, to the hospital next to me? So that's more what I'm trying to envision how I can bring this to a daily life, day-to-day interaction with common and everyday people.
Well, that's perfect.
Yeah.
We will end it at that. That is a perfect answer. I can frame it. That's a picture in itself.
Great to hear that.
Aiden, thank you so much.
Thank
Let
you.
me teach
Great
you.
talking to you. Absolutely. We
Um,
hope to talk